I don't know. I think that this is the perfect opportunity. I was sharing this a moment ago, how we were talking about how to help the parents during this pandemic, because hey, they didn't sign up for, unless they are educators, they didn't sign up for being a homeschool teacher and whatever else other hats that they're wearing. And I know that you have, I'm sure, and I know that you have a wealth of information, because you always make sure that you come with your A game. You're well prepared, I'm sure, to help those who are watching. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for joining into this conversation. I'm Dr. Sarah Renee Langley, Leader International, your host for today in regards to overcoming during and after the pandemic mental health, or May's mental health series. And I have with me Coach CeCe in the house, Cherrea Williams, who she's going to share a little bit about who she is, what she does, and see how we can now have this conversation about the parenting. How do you parent during this time, during the pandemic, and how can we help you to help yourself during and after, in the preparation with the economy opening up, and, what does that look like? So, Coach CeCe, who are you, and what do you do, and
All
what you bring
right.
to the table today?
Okay. So thank you first of all, Dr. Sarah, for this opportunity. I'm so excited to be here on this beautiful Wednesday evening. I am Coach CeCe, and I am the founder, owner of Life as You. And life is an acronym which stands for living in fervent excellence as you, because you are enough. And so here what we do is we want to move you from motivation and into cultivation, then to activation, and then elevation, so that you can reach your highest heights by helping you to manifest, learning how to manifest your true hopes, dreams, and desires. And so that's what we do here at Life is You. So, I wear many hats. And of course, one of those hats is not only a coach, but a parent, right? And so I don't know. I think I'm a professional when it comes to parenting. And I only say that, and I don't know if it's a such thing, but I say that because I have three children. I have three girls. They're soon to be 20, 23, and 24. And all of them went to college, and one went to the military. But I also had the honor of fostering 23 foster daughters, two of which I adopted. So I've had babies from 2 years old to 17 years old through the foster care system here in Georgia. I also, they were all females, but I've also had several different ethnicities, from Japanese to Caucasian to Black to Hispanic. And in fact, my two adopted young girls, well, young ladies now, are Hispanic. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of opportunities at parenting. And one of the things that I'm so grateful for is that when you become a foster parent, at least here in Georgia, you go through a slew of classes. You have to take so many hours every year, every month, and there's so many resources. And so I truly believe that those tools really helped me to become the parent that I am today. And I'm hoping to share some of that with you all tonight, in hopes that some of these tools and things that I talk about will help you navigate through this COVID-19 situation, and even after or post COVID-19. And so, once again, I'm excited to be here to be able to impart some wisdom and maybe some knowledge. So you all take notes, because it's going to be pretty interesting.
Okay, it's going to be pretty interesting. I had a English teacher who used to say, when we would use the word English, interesting, that he always got on us. He was like, well, that word covers up what a different type of word that can really describe what it's going to be like. And so it always stuck with me. So what are we in for today? Where should we begin, Coach CeCe, in regards to what do you believe that people should know, or parents should know right now, in regards to how to help themselves out during this time? Because I'm sure it's been stressful. And everyone, if you have any questions or comments, please put in the comment section. We can see you. So we want to make sure that we shout you out, acknowledge you, and to invite you into the conversation, so that Coach CeCe can, support you during this time, you parents out there. So yeah, Coach CeCe, where should we begin in regards to the support, or the fact that maybe many parents have been, we had an opportunity a couple months ago to address this in regards to how people didn't see this coming. None of us seen this coming. And then it's like we were thrust into these new roles, these new norm, or we had to figure out our normal during the time. And there was a study so far, at least in China, how divorce rates were going up to like 30-35% because of the fact that everybody was sheltered in place. They didn't know their significant other like they thought that they did. And so then you have the other dynamic with the whole attending to your children and having to homeschool them. And people have really been stressed out. So where should we begin this conversation?
Wow. Yeah, stressed out is a great word. And, it's very unfortunate that, because I know a whole bunch of parents are stressed out. I don't have little children, but I think because we shifted to a new normal and this thing came out of nowhere and we weren't prepared, not only do you have to deal with it as an individual, right, as a mom or a dad, right, let alone if you're a single parent, right, and it's just you, but you have to deal with it. So you're trying to move through the situation, trying to, practice some self-care, trying to stay safe, sane, and sanitize. You're trying to do all these things, but then you have this other real component or several real components over here, which are your children. And so now you have to deal with them in regards to, at the time, they were in school, right? And so all of a sudden, parents had to put on these teacher hats, and some people just aren't good at teaching. I mean, maybe they would have become teachers if they were, right? So that was difficult. Like, how do I do this, and where do I go? And at the same time, many of these parents, they work. So now you have to parent in a way that you've never parented before, and you have to keep food on the table and run your whole household. And so that sounds really, really stressful, right? And so I like that you ended with that so that I could start with that. So I would just encourage parents right now in the Wusa, right, to take some deep breaths, to learn about medication. Yeah, you probably need some of that too. But meditation.
What type of medication? What are we talking about? What type of how are we medicating ourselves here, Coach CeCe?
Well, we're going to talk about that too, right? Okay. Because some of us probably are self-medicating and in ways that we shouldn't. I want to give you some tips and some tools on how to properly, take care of yourself, and so that you don't have to self-medicate or, go, to somewhere to get some anti-anxiety medication and things like that. So there are some real things that you can do as far as self-care. So I would encourage you to start off with learning how to breathe, take these deep breaths and things like that, and to just take breaks and moments throughout today to woosah, right? And so there are so many resources and tools to help you learn how to do just that, how to meditate. Other self-care techniques to help eliminate your stress is to step away sometimes, go for a short walk, right? I know that when we have babies, right, we are encouraged to do that often because it can get really frustrating when the child is crying and you don't know why and things like that. And so in a real way, this crying really never stops. It just changes into words or languages. And language and words. And so it's more like whining. And so you could be frustrated at any stage of parenting, whether you have an infant, a toddler, a grade school child, or even teenagers. So you still might have to take walks even when they're teenagers, so you won't get angry or frustrated. Also, get your rest, get proper rest, because for most people who don't get the proper rest, your day just isn't easy, and you're probably on a short fuse. And so to eliminate that possibility, you want to make sure you're getting your proper rest. You want to make sure you're exercising. You want to make sure that you're eating well. So you want to do these things, and all of those things will help you eliminate some of those stress levels, right? When the children were in school, there were so many resources, and I pray and I hope, because I didn't have grade school children, I have college students, but I pray and I hope that the schools were sufficient enough, and maybe they weren't, because they weren't prepared either. So, you had people who took care of children, teachers, daycare providers, right? Who then it became something else for them. And so their jobs didn't stop. Maybe the daycare providers to some degree, but the teachers still had to maybe create lesson plans and then come up with new ways in which they can get the information to the students via, electronic devices and the media and things like that. And so I pray that you guys as schools for your children were equipped enough to be able to provide those things so that it can help you to be the best teacher parent, right, that you could be. And also other resources, they were probably, look, Google is a great resource, right? And so the how-tos, YouTube is a wonderful resource. So, hey, if you didn't quite get that A in algebra, or if you didn't, quite pass, chemistry, there are things now, tools now that to be able to help you through that. So we've moved, well, down here in Georgia, they're done with school. I think up in the north, they might still have a few weeks, so I don't know. And so I'm hoping that we have some parents on the line that have grade school kids or high school kids that are able to ask some questions and offer some advice to each other in regards to what it is that they're doing to help, in this new normal and to manage a household when you have school children. I think it's very important in the life of children and the life of people to have a schedule, right? So when we became parents and we had infants, it was like, hey, you got to get them on the schedule. And it was the most wonderful thing when we were able to, master that feat. Like, yes, the child is on the schedule, they're sleeping this time, because it helped us as parents of infants to be able to do some things that we needed to do without having to be focused on parenting per se. So schedules are still so important in the life of every child and in the life of every human being. And so it's so important to try to maintain those schedules as much as possible. So the bedtime should still be the bedtime, right? It may look like, oh, it's a weekend all day. Like some parents, when it gets to like a Friday or a Saturday, it's a little more relaxed. The children get to stay up later. I don't necessarily agree with that because a schedule is a schedule and it still will help you as a parent to do the things that you need to do. But hey, whatever floats your boat. But now when we were just home with the children, every day could have looked like a Saturday and that could be chaotic, right? So it's so important to maintain the schedule as if they were going to an actual schoolhouse because they were in school, right? So schedules are very important, and even down to not just bedtimes, but when did they eat breakfast? When did they eat lunch at school? Did they take naps if they were younger kids? Try to stick to those same routines. When did they have recess? Try to incorporate some exercise in that as well, and then to move on from there. So schedules is so important, and it will also help decrease some of your stress levels, right? So I mean, it's just so many techniques. Again, resources, Google, definitely self-care to eliminate those stress levels, and teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. So if you all are in a two-parent home, you got to share responsibilities, and that could look different for you all too, because you may not have worked in that dynamic per se when it came to having a child home 24/7. They were in school, and so when they got home, we had routines. And for a lot of us, I can't speak for all of us, but for a lot of us, routines were like thrown out the window. Like we didn't know what to do. Like we had no idea pretty much what was going on. It's a lot of mayhem, chaos, sadness, death, a lot of things. And so I do want to move a little bit towards the emotional piece of parenting and the emotional piece of being a child. I think a lot of us have forgotten about what is a child feeling? What are these children going through? Like what in the lens of a child, whatever age, what are they seeing? What's going on? Who's talking to them? Right? Like those are some great questions, and those you really need some answers. So I'm going to refer back to Dr. Sarah as the doctor in the house. Like, what do you think are some kind of tips that you can give someone to help with the emotional states of these children? Do you think that they have gone through some emotional strain of trying to figure it out too, or understand whether they're 3 years old, 10 years old, or 17 years old?
Yeah. I just wanted to jump in, you just flow it. So I was like, okay, she got the stage. You're the expert here, with having cared for the kids and also figuring out how to navigate through. And again, anyone and everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comment section. If you have any comments or any recommendations or suggestions, let us know what worked for you. How were you able to manage and maneuver during this pandemic? How have you been able to make it work for you? Even if you felt like, I'm still trying to figure this out. I didn't really master it all the way, but you never know that in sharing notes, that perhaps that we all can help each other, because that's what it's all about. It's just really here, us helping together together we stand and together we
conquer, right?
Really?
We do conquer together though.
It's overcome.
Oh, so, same thing. Okay.
Lord have mercy. She just embarrassed me with her own daggone mental health webinar series. But no, we have known each other.
Together we stand and together we overcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Coach CeCe. So yes, everyone, if you have any questions or comments and suggestions or tips that you found that work for you, feel free to chime in, because again, we are here to help each other so that we can all overcome together at this time. So when you mentioned the question, Coach CeCe, in regards to the children, absolutely they are impacted. 3 reasons why, and it doesn't matter what age, what state of mind you're in, when 3 things are taken or lost, such as loss of control, loss of connection, and loss of purpose, we run amok. That's just human nature. And then we go and we gravitate towards being primal and being instinctual. We have to now be in survival mode because our pattern has been disrupted. We had a certain routine, a certain structure, even for those who are procrastinators, even those who feel like they don't have a routine. You had some type of routine or script from your mental state, your subconscious mind. It has been on autopilot on how you manage your day to day. Even if you find that your day to day is chaotic, or it could be better. Nevertheless, you already were going by some type of ritual, unbeknownst to you perhaps. But because with the children, even if they had complained about being in school or they didn't want to be in school and they were going through things, for the most part, we're not talking of extreme situations where bullying and now cyberbullying and things like that. We're talking about just if everything was all things equal for the sake of the point. Yeah, they were going to school. And now that their pattern was disrupted, there were many cases. I had counseled quite a few parents I don't counsel children, but talking to the parents in regards to them talking to me about their children, they found their children being just as sad and depressed because their routine was taken. Now, and again, the loss of control, so the fact that now they had to stay home and they also had to figure out a new normal for everyone. So it impacted everyone across the board. So we can talk about case studies. I can bring up a case where I had this one client who is a mother of 3 children, young school-age children. I want to say that maybe the youngest is 8 and the other one, she had 3. So I believe the other one was like a teenager, like maybe 13 or 14. And she was stressed out, maxed out, burned out. And she was starting to feel resentful to her husband because she was laid off from her job and the routine is, is all in shambles now. And she's now taking care of the home. She's upset or resentful about her husband still working and her career has been put on hold. Now she's a full-time caregiver of taking care of the kids. Husband is not available like that to help her with the children. So she's like, I am at a loss. I feel lonely. I feel I lack, I don't get any attention at home now from my husband. It really impacted me intimately. I don't really want to be with my husband. Then I yell at the kids. I'm tired of, and I really feel bad about my yelling at the children. And I normally do not do that. And I just don't know what to do. So not sure if that sounds like you, please put in the comment section if that sounds like you, being like this client of mine who had a career's on hold now because she was laid off. she has to work at home, or not so much work at home. She's taking care of the kids now, but without the actual support and help from her husband, because her husband's still working. And she's feeling resentful, she's feeling neglected, she's feeling, unloved. She's now taking it out on the children, taking it out on her husband, and she doesn't know what to do because this is not just her character. I wonder, Mike, what Mike you would say to that, or how to help this person out, Coach CeCe.
Wow. Well, that's a lot. She is definitely going to need someone to help her in regards to all those components. So she's going to need someone to talk to, right? This is a clear case of where you're facing like total burnout, the possibility of it, that you need support. And that support can come through by way of a counselor, such as you and I, at a coach, or sometimes churches have support groups and things like that. And what I love about this season, like I told you, like, hate COVID-19, right? But you have to find the silver lining or something, is that people are coming together in ways in which like we've never come together before. There are a lot of support groups and just a lot of support and resources for help. And so she definitely would need to speak with a counselor or therapist that has knowledge in many of the areas in that which she's struggling with. So you talked about marital issues, right? So someone who's a professional at marriage counseling. You talked about intimacy issues. The marriage counselor can talk about that as well as relationship counseling. You talked about parenting. So again, someone who can talk about those things as well. That's a pretty tough situation, because again, that person is just dealing with the shift as well, of whatever's going on and for herself. So internally and emotionally, but what does this all mean for her? And then now it's like, oh, what does this mean for my children? And oh, what does this mean for my husband? And like, so it's all these components. And so I would start at the head, which is the marriage, because again, in the marriage is a partnership. And once that partnership can become as strong as it can be, then it will trickle down, or that power, that energy will trickle down into other areas of the relationship or the household. And so you two could begin to deal with the children together, begin to deal with the finances together, begin to deal with you guys' intimacy together, right? And so when I think you're in a partnership and you don't have the support there, and you feel like you're all alone, it feels like you're running against a brick wall. Like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? And these are the moments where you can take on negative coping mechanisms, right? And so that's only going to exacerbate or make that situation much worse than it was before, because you may come out of the situation with some habits that you didn't sign up for per se. So some great healthy coping mechanisms, again, is to reach out to a therapist or a counselor. There are so many, but we're just going to talk about the two that's on the line right now, right? In which we are very, skilled in all those areas and proficient in all those areas to help you move through this time so that you can be successful on the other end. And then as far as like the children's emotional state, I am so happy that you did speak upon it a little, because, you said that when you have a loss of control, a loss of connection, and a loss of purpose, and children are people too. And I think sometimes as parents, we kind of forget that. I was speaking to a young man yesterday who talked about, he has a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old, and he talked about parenting them. And he, loves the Lord. He's a man of God. And he had to realize that, he's not God, he's their father. And I think a lot of times as parents, we are so into this authoritarian or authoritative role that we kind of take on like this godlike stance. And we have to understand that children are people too, and they deserve respect. They deserve someone to listen to them. They deserve to have someone help them understand what their purpose is. They deserve connection as well. So they may need more than what they did before, right? And in a very not, well, I want to say strange way, but in a very, very like God way. Man, children are an awesome blessing. And, you know, when you think that it's something that they need, and I speak from experience as being a biological mother as well as a foster mom and an adopted mom. But when you think that you have something to give them and they need this. Oh, I may have had children who, of course, were from broken homes and, you know, were runaways or went through some horrendous things. And, you know, it was a moment in my life where I'm like, hey, wow, I can give so much love and, you know, I can do this for them and that for them. But I soon realized very quickly that they too were providing to me. Like it was a mutual situation, like the smile, the hug, I love you. Can I give you a foot rub? Can I, you know, just the gifts that they gave to me. And so it's not just, children are not just things to boss around and direct around and to be a dictator, you know, to all the time. But you are not God, and you have to help them understand who He is and just be in that position to parent, to be a mother, to be a father. And when you have a home that is on shaky grounds because you're also a wife or you're also a husband, it's so important to get that union together because that's at the head. That's the head of the household, right? The parents. And then everything else trickles down. So when you can get this right here as solid as possible, then your kids have a great example to see exactly how you are navigating through one of the worst times in history, right? And they understand love, and then you can help them understand, you know, again, that they do have purpose, that they are connected to you all, and that, you know, that'll help them gain a sense of control in their little worlds as well. So that's exactly what I would say in that situation, Dr. Sarah. Just, you know, get the help that you need, seek somebody, find somebody, hire somebody, because we are an excellent resource. We have been trained, skilled, and have had life experiences to be able to speak, you know, to be able to help catapult each person that we come across into their next. And so that's exactly, you know, what I would say.
You done? Is there any room left for me to say?
I guess I was on a roll.
Yes, you're on a roll. And everyone, sorry for the technical difficulties. I see how the Zoom is playing on, and it sounds like I'm throwing shade at Zoom. I guess it must be like the connectivity or everybody's on at this time. So my apology for the connectivity concerns. So please don't pay attention to how the video is, how we're all automated and everything, but just pay attention to what we're saying. I just really wanted to make sure that I still got a visual. Let's turn off the camera. I don't know if we even have pictures for ourselves. You know how you turn off the camera and you just have a picture? Coach CeCe, I don't know if you have it. I don't think I have one.
I don't have one. I need to figure that out because, yeah.
Okay, so we have to work that out. But we always believe that the show must go on. And so for the sake of the time, thank you, Felicia, Talisha, Donisha, Chastity, everyone who is watching. We appreciate you. If you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, please feel free to chime in. This is all about helping you to know how to parent, how to homeschool, you know, tips on how to work from home, you know, during and after the pandemic. So we're wanting to make sure that you are fully prepared. And Coach CeCe and I, we did a 24-hour mental health support and prayer support a month or so ago. And we have put together some tips. So we're going to share a few tips for you before we end our time together on how to, we have created 8 essential keys to finding your calm. If you want this, then you have to let us know put it in the inbox, say, you know what, that's me, I definitely need that. We got the 8 tips from working from home. We have the 8 essential keys to finding your calm. First of all, that's where you need to start, parents. 8 keys to homeschooling your kids, and 8 keys to working with your spouse while at home. So if all this sounds great to you, please put in the comment section. Let us know that you want this. These are free. This is free resources for you, because we're here to help you to make sure that you are mentally whole and you are mentally healthy and holistically whole. So we're just going to share a few tips for you that we have put together when we did our mental health. It was 24 hours. Okay. We must love y'all because we put 24 hours in. Okay.
Felt like 24 days.
Again, Coach CeCe. That's so funny. So, all right. So if you want this, put it in the inbox. So we have 8 essential keys. And why did we come up with the number 8? Because of the fact that 8 means new beginnings. And so we're going to give you about 3. If you want the rest, put it in the box that you want the rest. Okay. So first of all, you need to pray. Again, we are mind, body, and spirit.
Amen.
You can attend to your spirit, but if you're not attending to your body or to your mind, you're not a whole self. If you attend to your body, but you're not attending to your spirit or to your mind, then you're not a whole self. If you're attending to your mind, but you're not attending to your spirit or your body, you're not a whole self. So get in alignment. You have to pray. Get into alignment and get within your inner self to be in alignment with your core values. So you can get centered, grounded, and rooted. Because we also understand, being therapists, we understand that right now, maybe perhaps your mind isn't even on what we're talking about, real talk, because of what is going on during this time, beyond the pandemic. But this is the time that you have to make sure that you just got to rest. You have to regroup. You have to recenter. And you have to replenish yourself. It's not a matter of just being in a situation where you just nonstop going with the mentality and the script in your mind. You call it unspoken norms or these unspoken principles that you are so convicted by that you're like, okay, I have to keep going because I got to take care of my family. I can't miss a beat. I got to protect my family at all costs. I don't know if this is going to be the last time that I'm going to see my loved ones. Real talk. This is when you have to rest. You have to regroup. You got to recenter. You got to replenish yourself. So what better way to do that than with prayer? Right, Coach CeCe?
Right. Amen.
All right.
Amen.
And when you think about breathing, you mentioned that earlier. So do they catch their breath? Should they breathe? Talking to you, Coach CeCe.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking at you on another screen. Yes. I'm like, she's not saying anything, but she's still speaking. It's so crazy. But yes, it's so important to learn how to breathe. We're not talking about, this involuntary breathing that we're doing, now by the grace of God. We're talking about some strategic breathing that we know will help, calm us down and to get us refocused and to get us all those re's that Dr. Sarah talked about, replenish, rest, etc. And so there are so many YouTube videos, apps, meditation apps and things like that, different types of techniques for breathing. I would suggest if you don't have a space in your home that is conducive to meditation and prayer, to find one, right? Some people use prayer closets. I remember I had a home where I had a closet that I could dedicate to that, and that was awesome. But now I have a corner that has my candles and my book of life and some other resources, and I get into some prayer and some meditation. So breaths, take 3 deep breaths, inhale, exhale, maybe 10. Yoga is an excellent tool to help you learn how to breathe, as well as to get some of that exercise in to help you to calm down. So yeah.
Back to me. You're throwing it back to me?
Yeah. It was only 30 seconds, or maybe it was 1 minute.
Because Lord have mercy, she's a Taurus, y'all, so she could talk. So I had to jump in. So, actually, Coach CeCe, she does her own show pretty much. She was doing 30 days every day, showing up at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where she was really helping us to regain control, how to, get our control in our lives. And so she will go on, and she can go on and on and on. I just want to remind her that, it's the two of us. So, she doesn't have to carry this all on her own. She doesn't have to carry this all on her own. We're doing this together, because together we stand and together we
overcome.
There we go. All right, now I can do all my other guests now, because again, we've known each other, man, since we were like, we go way back to like baby blankets and baby blankets.
Right, pretty much, right. We were wet behind the ears, what they say, I don't know.
Girl, Lord, I thought you were holding me up. All right, so the last point of how to help yourself. First, parents, to get yourselves together before you even do the legwork, or the help. You got to roll up your sleeves and try to get things done on how to work with your spouse at home, how to homeschool. Another technique. So we mentioned about praying. We talked about, Coach CeCe talked about breathing, and the last thing is really we are really big on this, is give yourself grace. Extend the courtesy to yourself. How do you expect you to get this right the first time? This is so new, right? And even if you have been homeschooling, okay, before, but this is a different time. We got so many different dynamics that's happening. So don't beat yourself up. Yes or yes? Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Extend the grace. You will extend it to other people. So why not you show yourself that same courtesy? So that is what you have to do in terms of preparing yourself to get to a state of calm. Finding your calm in chaos. Creating your calm in chaos. This is the perfect opportunity to now create your new normal, as we are now pressing past through this pandemic. So again, we have these tips and tools for you. If you want it, just put it in the comment section that I definitely want these free resources that you're spitting out to us. Lanisha, thank you for tuning in. She said to you, Coach CeCe, she loves that you said to look at the marriage because it trickles down. See how you just helping with marriages, Coach CeCe? So you
all right now.
Got it. All right. All right, and then the final tips here, we're going to talk about a few tips on how to working and learning from home. So again, Coach CeCe and I were talking and put this together. We did the mental health, 24-hour mental health series in one day, because we love you and we want to make sure that you are overcoming and being mentally healthy and holistically whole here. So we talked about, she shared this already. She was talking about creating a schedule. So can you talk a little bit about that? Just 30 seconds.
Oh, create a schedule. So there's so many scheduling tools that you can use. What is it? Calendly. Journals. One of the most wonderful things that my daughter bought me for my birthday is this journal here. It's awesome. It's awesome. So journals and scheduling tools and scheduling apps. So just so many resources, and don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to look for help, and don't be afraid to use things even if you've never used them before. So scheduling, you got to do it.
Yes. All right. So yes, make sure that y'all have that schedule in place, and just do like checkoffs or journal, like you can actually have the visual that you need to check things off so that you stay and create. Again, it's about getting back control. So if you're able to regain control, that will put you in an advantage, and that will give you the momentum to continue onward. You'll start to see things shaping up accordingly in your life and in your home. So another tip that we had talked about, another tip for learning or working and learning from home is to do one thing at a time, y'all. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't do everything at the same time. Don't be like me. Because I try to get everything done. It's like, I'm like, okay, if I can get it all done, and then I can free myself up forever and forever doesn't come, because it's like when you try to put your hands in everything, you get nothing done. And you would think that I would learn by now. And I'm telling people to do this, and this is something I just don't do. So Coach CeCe, I guess I got to see you for counseling again.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I said it's okay.
yes, it is okay, right? So yeah, we just got to make sure that
extend yourself some grace.
Say it again.
Extend yourself some grace.
I need to extend grace to myself. Yes, and yes,
Absolutely.
I agree. And then the last thing is what you said, you shared, was taking breaks. So should we take a break? Should we have this included, Coach CeCe? We should take a break and, as we're trying to work and create our whole new normal at home.
Right, because I absolutely agree with that, because it's a moment in that you can get restored and refreshed, and that you can then go back to the task with a new focus, maybe a new direction, maybe just something new, because you haven't worn yourself out completely. So you just got to take these breaks. It could be 5-minute breaks. It could be hour break. You could take naps while you're taking these breaks. You could exercise while you're taking these breaks. You might need to take a couple of days off. Sometimes it gets that serious. So it is nothing wrong with taking breaks.
Amen. Look, if you have to take a break to pee, put it in the schedule. Right. Because it's not even if you have to, you should, right? Take a break to pee. I mean, that's a note to myself. So I tell you, so like just being a counselor, and we have the schedule like back to back to back to back to back. When I had my early days of counseling, and I had my mentees that I was mentoring, helped them to get their licenses, and I had staff. And look, I was so cavalier, it's like, I was like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to be known for the program or the agency who sees everyone from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night. We're going to pack them in and get to see at least 10 people, because that was helping with the mentees on getting their hours in and getting the experience. So I thought that was a great thing. But then after a while, I'm cracking whips like, look, you need to, there's no break. It's like 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes. And they're like, can we at least have like a water break, a peanut break, and a pee break, please? Can we have at least a water break for like 30 seconds, a pee break, maybe take us a minute, and in a peanut break, just to put something in our mouth, you having us go from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So I confess, don't report me. Okay. We took care of it. All right. So they now get to, well, I don't have them now, but it's not because, and it's not because of any fault of my own that they decided to leave. That wasn't the case. But now it is a matter of scheduling and having breaks for yourself. When you are doing the homeschooling, you have to incorporate that for you and for your work routine, as well as when you're homeschooling. They get breaks at school. You can recreate it at home, except the difference is one person that does homeschool often, she has said that you can actually create it to fit your home. So instead of trying to fit it with the model at school, how they have, and I don't remember how it used to be, how it is in school, but like, you have the home period, and then you have classes, you have lunch, you have, recess and whatever else. You don't necessarily have to set it up that way. You can incorporate your day as well as your kids' day, and you make it work for you. So one tip with that would be, we mentioned about scheduling, doing one thing at a time, and taking breaks. So lastly, the last 3 tips that we're going to leave with you on how to homeschool your children would be creating the schedule together. Why not make it a family affair? Why not bring the kids together and ask them, well, what did you have going on again? Like, how did your school period work? So that I can, we can work together. So you work together. So you all know what you want, how you want it, make it easier on yourselves. So incorporate. And we know that at this time of this recording that, school is about to let out, if it hasn't let out already, but if in case we do end up going into the fall and you still find yourself still having to homeschool, we're helping you to prepare during and after the pandemic. So use these tools and tips accordingly. That's going to make it work for you. You do what it takes and you take in what works and what resonates for you to make it easier on yourself. Make it easier on yourself. You don't have to make this harder any further than you need to. So co-create the schedule. And Coach CeCe was talking about, they should have fun while they're doing this, right? Which is another tip.
Absolutely. Why not? Like, life is for the living, right?
Yes.
And so when you have fun, you're living. So, make it fun. Make it so that you're open and receptive to learn new things too, because that could be fun. Like things that you may have not learned, you get an opportunity to learn. Maybe you could switch roles and your kids could be the teacher, that could teach you. You got to get creative. You got to be innovative, right? And so absolutely have fun in every single area of your life, whether it's homeschooling the children, self-care, rest, taking breaks, all of the things that we talked about, have some fun in it. Right.
All right. She did that in 30 seconds. Get out. I was still
I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
Look, she's a great teacher and she's a great student because she picks up quick. Go ahead, Coach CeCe. You're doing that. All right. And so the last thing, everyone, we hope that this is helpful. If you find value in this or you find that this is helpful, please put it in the comment section. If you have any suggestions or comments, put it in the comment section. If you want these tips or strategies, because there's 8 for each. So there's 24 tips that you can use on how to help, how to find your calm first and foremost. Then 8 tips on learning how to work from home, and then how to homeschool your kids. 8 tips on how to homeschool your children. So the last tips that we're leaving you, we talked about co-creating a schedule, have fun, and lastly, have positive reinforcement. Why not? So not just for the children, but for you too. Reward yourself. So I would encourage my clients, right, how when we would set up like a routine and a schedule for themselves on whatever it is, whatever goal that they desire to get. And I would ask them, well, what is your goal? But then how are you celebrating yourself? So when you actually achieve your goal, how are you celebrating? And most times people would say they don't know how to celebrate. They never thought to incorporate that. And that's a great idea. So with the positive reinforcement and rewarding yourself. So when you actually find that you have the routine down, reward yourself. When you find that you are your children are doing well, if you have a behavioral chart and you have it set up where they're supposed to do certain things, whether they get the math problems right, or, whatever it is that you want to see more of, positive reinforcement always is key. It goes a long way, and it doesn't have to apply just to the children. Like I said, it can apply to you. So you can find out, I always tell my clients that you can actually go based on tiers. So a small reward based on, whatever you classify as a small goal, a medium reward to a medium goal, and a big reward to a big goal. And when you find yourself, you set your time accordingly, make it feasible and realistic. I think the one strategy is SMART goals. SMART, about SMART goals, Coach CeCe. I think you coached me on that before. SMART goals. Specific,
measurable, attainable, the R, reachable, is it?
Yeah, or real time.
Real time, yeah, and then time bound. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So doing that, making sure that y'all set it up accordingly where it's specific for you. It's measurable, so you can track it. You do a certain amount of days per month. Like if out of the week, the 7 days that you found that y'all both, you and your children, your husband or your spouse were able to actually complete goals, then you track, you track it with little stars, or you put a star, a happy face. We love that stuff. It's amazing how we have to go based on what is, yes, thank you, Glenisha, reasonable. We call it, I usually call it realistic. So
right, thank you.
You have to make sure that it's attainable and it's achievable, but you're tracking so that you can see where certain days that you got it right and certain days you didn't get it right, so that you can improve on it. And then as you improve and you're tracking, you're seeing that you're making progress. It's always rewarding, because at the end of the day, we can be children at heart as well. As adults, we like praise, we like celebrations. We'll say and swear, because we think it's so egotistical or it's conceited or whatever. Like, I don't need that attention, I don't need the praise. But we're built in such a way that yes, Yes, we do. We all love it. It's just human nature. So that said, why not set yourself up for wins for you and your children while you're homeschooling? Make it fun, co-schedule together, you're all partnering together, and make it realistic in terms of creating this opportunity to set up positive reinforcement for all of you so that you now also have rewards in the end, whether it's a small, medium, or large goal, so that you can celebrate and see more of that momentum moving forward during and after the pandemic. So we hope that this was helpful. Again, please, y'all can leave your comments, any final questions or comments or tips that you want to share, please feel free to do so. Coach CeCe, anything that you have in terms of helping them, helping these parents out there on what they need to do now moving forward? Any final words? So this is great.
Well, I just want to just piggyback off of the last thing you were talking about, but it was a phrase. It's a quote or something that says, "Don't sweat the small stuff." Well, we're telling you to sweat the small stuff, right? And so reward yourself at any increment, that any change, anything that you do positive, reward yourself. And so I would just suggest to replay this live as often as possible, so that you can listen to all the things that we said in this past hour. Also, if you want more information about the 8 key things, what we spoke about, those tips and tools are going to help you as well. Everything that we put out, all the videos, all the lives, all of this stuff talking about, especially during COVID-19, and these things to help you through this time and post COVID-19, please do so. You'll be doing yourself a tremendous favor. So I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Sarah, for having me on the platform to be able to join up with you so we can speak about some very, very important things.
Well, thank you, Coach CeCe. So you're welcome. And thank you for your time. As always, it's always a pleasure working with you and, partnering together, because together we stand and together we
overcome.
We better overcome. Well, everyone, thank you. Thank you.